Hi guys, it's Hani here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we're going to make a really cute Valentine's Day gingerbread house. You guys have been asking for this project, so I put together a really nice design inspired by the City of Love, Paris. And to make the cookies, I used my gingerbread cookie dough recipe for centerpieces and gingerbread houses. And to decorate, we're going to use fresh lemon royal icing. So now let's get started. To make royal icing roses, I'm using stiff royal icing that I colored with some pink food coloring, and to tone it down I added a touch of ivory. I'm using piping tip number 101, and first I'm going to do the center. That's like a simple bud, and then we can add 3 more petals, and that will be a really simple cute rose. If you want to make it a little bigger, you can add more petals. You can see I switched to a lighter shade of pink, adding 5 more petals, and then I'm going to smooth out the edges. You can either use lightly dampened paintbrush, a needle tool, or a toothpick. Then you can set these aside and let them dry overnight. In fact, you can make royal icing roses several days, even weeks before your project. Store them in an airtight container away from sun and moisture. Here are my gingerbread panels. This is the chimney, and then we're going to need 2 of each. Front panels, roof panels, and also side panels. I'm going to start with the side panel. Using a paper template and edible marker, just mark the lines where you are going to brush a thin layer of white royal icing. You want to go as far as those lines, even maybe a little over those lines, just to make sure that your windows are covered. Then let it dry, and then we're gonna paint it with blue food coloring and white food coloring. I added a touch of vodka, or you can also use some extracts to make the paint, and then paint the white, let that dry, and now I am drawing a partial Eiffel Tower with actually I'm using gray edible marker. Now for those of you who are wondering, the Eiffel Tower is not inside of the house, it's actually meant to be a reflection in the glass panel in the window. So because the gray wasn't very visible, you can barely notice the Eiffel Tower, I actually ended up going over it with some black edible marker, and you'll see me doing that later. Now we're going to outline the whole cookie with white royal icing. And I'm using about 15-second consistency, maybe slightly thinner than 15. Smooth it out with a needle tool and then let it dry. Now we can make the curtain. So I'm using red royal icing, about 20-second consistency, and I'm doing the curtain in sections. Here I'm adding cute little heart sprinkles. Let the section crust, and then you can fill in the middle part. Here you can see me, I'm going over the Eiffel Tower with edible marker. Both of the edible markers that I used for the Eiffel Tower are by Rainbow Dust, and links to these markers are posted also in the description box under the video. Now we can make the frame. I'm going to use gray royal icing. Use about 20-second consistency royal icing for the frame. And of course you're gonna have to repeat that on the other side, except we're not gonna do the Eiffel Tower. I'm going to add curtains on both sides of the window. And now we're going to use edible marker and make the stripes all over the white. And this is going to be a repetitive design. I'm going to do this on all of the panels, front, side, and the back. So now we're done doing the front panel, icing it with white royal icing. Let it dry and then we can make flower pots. So again, I'm using a paper template, transferring the outlines on the icing, and then using 20 to 25-second consistency gray royal icing, start making the flower pot. I'm doing it in sections, letting each section crust before adding section next to it, so the flower pot has a nice definition. Now we can make the front door. Let the left panel crust and then ice the right panel. Ice the middle panels with white royal icing and then sprinkle some nonpareils on the top. Finish by adding gray inside of the bottom panels, and now we're just going to make a really cute banner. Fill each little section with red royal icing and then let that dry. To give the flower pots a little bit of age, I'm using a sweet sugar bell edible marker, or you can also use brown edible marker, and a lightly dampened paintbrush to blend it in. Now we're ready to attach the roses. Use a little bit of royal icing on the back of each rose to glue it onto the flower pot. Now your panels are crusted. You can add letters. I'm just gonna write love on the banner. Now we're gonna add some green leaves. I'm using leaf piping tip and stiff royal icing that I colored with some leaf food coloring. Alright, so now we're ready to make the back panel. For the back panel I need a bicycle, so I am using a template, and on the top I have a piece of wax paper, and I'm basically making a royal icing transfer. I'm going to let it dry overnight, and then we're going to peel it off and use it as a decoration. When making royal icing transfers like this, there's always a risk that they are gonna break because they are rather delicate. So if you're not careful enough, you are going to break it. So it's always good to have another spare one. So I ended up actually fixing it. I glued that together again and I let it dry again, and I ended up being extra careful, so you can see it can be done, and then you can use it as your decoration. So I'm just going to drop it on wet white royal icing like this, and then we're gonna let that dry. Here I'm adding a cute little basket. Add a little bit of white royal icing and then dump some cute little heart sprinkles on there. And now we're gonna make a lamp post. I'm using dark gray royal icing, and this is about 20-second consistency royal icing. Using edible markers, you can make the bulb. Now we can make the balloons with red royal icing. Use a little bit of white while the icing is still wet, and then use edible marker for the string and add that bottom part once the main heart is crusted. Use your needle tool to shape the icing. Now we're gonna make the roof panels. These are the easiest ones to do. So ice your roof panels with light gray royal icing and let it dry. Now take darker gray piping consistency and pipe the lines across. Underneath there you see I have a paper template, and this template helps me divide my lines evenly. And then you're gonna have to repeat that on the second panel as well. I'm also going to make few little decorations, but those are really easy to do. We're going to ice a bunch of small gingerbread hearts, and we also need to do the chimney. I almost forgot. So for the chimney, I'm using piping consistency white royal icing first, and then take red and flood it with red. And I'm going to add some nonpareils while the red is still wet. Just take the sprinkles and decorate it with sprinkles, and then repeat on all of the panels. And now all the panels are ready and we can put this together. I love putting gingerbread houses together. I'm using stiff royal icing to glue the panels together, and I colored my royal icing in the Valentine's Day theme, of course. A little bit of pink and some ivory food coloring. If needed, you can use small bottles to keep the panels in place. Just for maybe a couple minutes, keep them in place like this, and then let it dry for about 3-4 hours, and then we're going to glue the roof on the top. I'm going to use small bottles to support the roof from the bottom up. Hold it in place for a couple seconds, maybe like 30 seconds or so, and then use the bottles to support the roof from the bottom, and then let this dry for another 3-4 hours. To hide the gap between two panels, I'm using a star tip and stiff royal icing. Now I'm going to glue the chimney panels together like this, and then we're going to glue it on the roof. I wanted to avoid icing showing through, especially on that nice gray roof, so I decided to do it this way this time. And then I added a little bit of icing just on the inside edge, just so it would stick to the roof without it showing too much on the outside. Now glue 2 heart cookies together. Add a little rose in the opening there. And now I'm just going to glue the hearts on and in the chimney. If needed, you can add more icing to fill the chimney, or you can maybe use some candies or whatever to fill it. Use some sprinkles while the icing is still wet so it sticks. And there, 1 more little heart and 2 more sprinkles in place. And here is Valentine's Day gingerbread house inspired by Paris. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and if you have suggestions for future tutorials, let me know as well. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell button so you get notified about my new uploads. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.